Thanks, everyone. I'm delighted to be here today, and I just want to take you on a little journey with Lumez, my partner in the e-recruitment talent platform. Just a little bit of background information in terms of who I am. I'm the head of shared business services for Surrey and Sussex Police. And I'm responsible, and my teams, for all of the recruitment for the police officers and police staff, and all the specialty areas, firearms and so on. We have had e-recruitment platform since about 2014, and we launched it in Surrey, and we set up the same process and ways of working, and we launched it in Sussex, and although it was the same system, at that point in time, we had a whole different set of processes and steps. Some of the challenges that we're facing right now in the blue light sector is, of course, budget cuts. There's always clawing back of money and trying to do things more efficiently and effectively. And that is the right thing to do, because we're here to actually enable and serve and make sure the front line of policing has everything it needs in order to keep the community safe. So for me, it's quite an honor and a privilege to be able to work in a sector that I know I'm making a difference, and I know the partnership that I'm in with Lumez is doing everything they can to make it the best experience for our candidates. However, as you can imagine, being a police officer, it takes a huge amount of time. So in the past, when we were paper-based, it would take us probably a year and a half to get a candidate pool, a cohort as they call it, through to course and into employment. Now we can do that in about 8 or 10 months. However, when we were paper-based, we had a team of about 17 in each force that actually sat and resourced and processed that. So it was a really labor intensive. And it's not a market that everyone aspires to. I think there's a certain type of individual that always knew they wanted to give back in the public sector and be a police officer. But there's many that don't know they want to be, and we haven't been able to tap into it. One of the challenges that the College of Policing has been facing, along with the policing in general, is that after all these years of becoming a chief constable, they don't actually have anything in terms of an academic qualification to show for it. And they're doing all kinds of skills. They're problem solving, they're mediating, they're doing all these things on the job. And yet when they walk out at the end of their careers, they're actually, many of them, without a qualification that is transferable. The skills are transferable, but we're working hard now to try and recognize that in some way. So the system part that Lumez helped us put in back in 2014 has really made a huge difference to the way we're able to process. We went from having 17 people in each force to having an online process with probably one person managing that whole campaign, have a team of about 6 EFTs, full-time equivalents, in each force that run my recruitment departments now, and that's for everything. And that's dealing with promotions and transferees. Lumez has been on the journey with us, and it has been, I think, a big learning curve for both of us. But one thing I have found throughout it is that they are a company that are always willing to kind of, what's on the horizon, what's next, what are you trying to solve, how do you want to do that, and putting steps in place. So one of the things that we've been able to do recently, well, one force was recent, the other has already had it in place, is doing all the online police assessments, and that's been integrated. So basically, we still have a really long timeline as a challenge. It still takes 8 to 10 months. It still, as you can imagine, they have to go through huge amounts of testing, assessments, all the way through vetting and all kinds of other things just to actually get them in the door. And it's really hard at times to keep them engaged and keep them warm. And it has to be based on when we can do national assessments and some of the other things that we have to adhere to in terms of the law and the rules. We also realize that collaboration, Surrey and Sussex are a collaborated space, and People Services, where I belong, we're a collaborated unit. So we serve Surrey, we serve Sussex, and we do something in between, which is, if anyone works in any kind of collaboration, they'll realize that that's probably the most difficult thing to do. It's really easy if you're one organization and you get to make all the decisions, everything gets multiplied and becomes more complex. And with Lumez, what they've been able to do is come in and help us problem solve and find some solutions. So we have online testing that we've integrated. We've gone through the steps of where we are now in terms of, that's just some stats, 9,000 police officers and thousands of applications we receive. And we've gone through the steps of actually trying to align and make sure that whether you sit in Surrey or Sussex, you're an officer going through promotion or a candidate coming through the system, you're going through the same process, and we're able to administer that in a more efficient and effective way. So what was it about Lumez? Well, I inherited Lumez. I actually inherited Lumez when I was in fire and rescue and in Wiltshire, and I started on my first day in 2013, and they said, by the way, we have this new Talent Link platform, and you're here to put it in and make it work. And it actually was really good. And at that time, it was cutting edge, really, because a lot of organizations were still just getting into the e-recruitment side of things. And then when I moved over to the police as the head of shared business services, I was really pleased because Lumez was still the partner with us at that time, and still is. And they were able to come in because they understood us. They could speak our language, and they really understood the kinds of challenges that the public sector brings. I honestly think that probably 10, 15 years ago, the commercial and the public sector were quite wide apart in many of these areas, but I think that's really converged over the last few years. I think we're facing the same challenges. We're trying to be more efficient. We're trying to be more effective. We're trying to tap into markets that are not easy. The labor profile right now, it's hard to get a candidate, and it's hard to have a candidate who stays. So it's all the same kinds of things that we're trying to automate, and we're trying to move with times. And more importantly than anything for me is, alongside of all of this talent and all of the automation and all of the system, is there is an applicant at the end of it who's taken their time, who's going on to a system, who wants to, we don't want to make it more difficult than we need to for them. And we do need to, and I've heard it earlier today, and I absolutely echo it, is keep that human element to actually engage with these candidates and make sure that they are cared for. And I think, looking back a few years on how the recruitment market has gone, and even how we've changed how we're recruiting, I think that's shifting, and I do think it's becoming much more candidate-based, as what was mentioned earlier. Lumez has knowledge in the sector. They have knowledge in both sectors, so they're able to bring that commercialization element. You know, I'm always looking to host and to partner and to help other blue light organizations or public sector organizations, and some of the things that we're doing in the future will allow us to have a platform where it would make it easy for that to happen. And I think that's the right thing to do for public funds and for taxpayers, because at the end of the day, it's that front line service, whether it's fire or police, that needs to have the attention, and the back office type function should be there to make sure we get the best candidate there, you know, at the right time with the right skills and qualifications, doing in the right location. So what does our current landscape look like? Along with Lumez, we're creating the next generation of our talent platform. We're looking at the video and all of the other things that are coming along. We're aligning our two sets and processes, and we're updating that look and feel for the candidate experience. We have, you know, I don't think we do enough in our sector to actually promote policing and what it means and what it actually is, or any of the blue light sectors. And I think what they do is really critical to keeping our community safe and healthy and protected. And we're enhancing our, what I call recruitment manager experience, but because we're trying to streamline and be more effective, when we have one-off recruitment, we're actually saying to a manager, you know, you need to go in the system, we'll help you, but you need to be able to process at your time and how you want to, and interview some of those applicants. It makes sense because they know their parts of the business best, and some of that needs some of that speciality. But it also means that we can be freed up to do some of that other bulk recruitment that we need to do. So we may do cohorts of 3 or 4 intakes a year for police officers right now, depending on the supply and the demand, because there's quite a churn of retirements and things like that happening. And we're considering the future. As I said, there's so many products and so many things. I don't have an unlimited budget, but I think there are, if you're smart about it, there are things that you can be doing to just the video and some of the other stuff that Claire, who's coming up after me, can speak about, or some of the team later. And for me, the best thing there's 2 good things about Lumez. One is we have a good relationship, and relationship is 75%, and all the rest of it is, to me, 25%. If I don't have a connection, I won't be able to trust, I won't have the confidence, they won't understand what I'm trying to do. And the other is, it's a product that you can actually, I have expertise on my team. We didn't start off that way, but they are global system administrators, and they can go in and they can do whatever we want. So we can tailor any communication, we can automate the process at a glance, we can take our stats, we can see it, we can do all the things that we want to do just on the e-recruitment system. And we've mirrored that with our promotion process in order to have a nice standardized, objective way of managing promotions in our organization. So I feel confident, and I hope that continues, in terms of us being able to work together and make sure that we can build the kind of product and the candidate experience and some of the back office functions that we're looking to do. The system's solid, it's adaptable, it will do all the things we want it to do. We can do a lot of that ourselves, but when we need help, that help is there, and that is critical for me. And that is why Lumez has been our partner for the last number of years. What will our future hold in policing? Well, I'm on a bit of a mission to take over the world. No, I'm not. We have something called our resource planning platform, our ERP, that we're putting in. It's a Microsoft, and I'm not that techie, so I think it's D65. And what it is it's a project that we have, a Triforce project with Thames Valley Police, Surrey and Sussex. And we are actually building our own ERP system. We did look out at the market, and because we need that end-to-end process, and we actually have never, in anywhere I've worked, actually found a system that allows some of that automation and integration to come through. There's lots of components or elements that do it, so HR and finance might do it. This one is a booking on, booking off, so the police officer who's just going on to duty books on. They are able to have a feed through to duty, so they know exactly where their deployable resource is. That feeds if they do overtime or have kind of something that they have to attend to into our payroll. It feeds into our finance in terms of the expenses. It feeds into our L&D, which is all the skills and the training. And as you can imagine, in anything to do with the blue light sector, that's quite a heavy workload of keeping track of. It feeds into the HR, where you can book, if you're pregnant, you can say, you can go right on, and it's automated for maternity leave, and it all gets through the system. And it goes through to payroll, as I said, and TalentLink is actually integrated. So when we have that applicant that we want to onboard, there's an actual integration feed with the information right into the system. That will really transform, I believe, the blue sector and probably public sector and beyond, in terms of really having a product that has that automation. But I don't think we can stop there. That's not all there is. This one, like I say, will have all of these components in it and the self-service functions and automation. But things like AI, where there are things that we should be doing that can be more automated and can have some of that artificial intelligence side. And that actually, even though I'm not that techie, it's really exciting. But there will be a place in our world for that. As you can imagine, everything's quite high level in terms of all the security and cloud and everything like that we have to deal with. But there's certainly would free us up to do some of that value added. And that value added for me is making sure that every candidate has a positive experience. And we carry out focus groups to try and do that now. And those are the things that drive some of the improvements that we're able to get through with Lumez, like building the promotion process and making sure there's other things in place. And basically, that was all I was going to say for right now. And I will hand over to Claire, who will pick up the techie side.
Thank you. I'm actually terrified as being described as the techie one. I'll be to me, yeah, okay. So my name is Claire Bailey. I'm part of the account management team at Lumess. I've worked for Lumess for about 4.5 years. I'm really excited to be on a stage with Dizan today. The police is something that's really close to my heart, as my husband's actually a detective. Not sadly in Surrey, or that's where we live. So I think we need to talk about getting him a transfer. Yeah. So I'm not going to do a particularly tech presentation. I really just wanted to talk through. And for those of you of the correct age, and I definitely am the correct age, this is what I like to describe as our Bob Holmer slide. Excellent, you're not all really young. And for me, it's really interesting. So I've worked in recruitment for nearly 20 years now, and recruitment is obviously really changing. You've heard a lot of things today about how people are driving recruitment forward, and for me, the big thing, or one of the big things, is that move from reactive to proactive. And so now we don't just talk about being an applicant tracking system, it's much more about being a recruitment platform, and that's really what this slide is looking at demonstrating. As a best-in-breed provider, we look to provide solutions which are really the end-to-end process. So from looking at talent attraction and a fantastic candidate experience all the way through to onboarding and beyond, we're looking at building that platform and also being able to flex. So we're not saying you need to have all of this in one go. So working with our customers like Dizan to understand where are they at with their maturity model in terms of recruitment, what do they need now, and then working to plan together about what they might need tomorrow. As a best in breed, we're also continually looking at how we position ourselves against suite solutions. You know, we're very realistic. We understand that a lot of big organisations are looking at going down the suite route. And so for us, one of the key things is looking at innovation and how we bring innovation to the market really, really quickly. And I think this is where we've changed fundamentally in the last couple of years, is whereas in the past we tried to build everything ourselves and thought we were best placed to do that, we actually look at using our own development team, but also looking out into the marketplace, who's doing really innovative things. You know, looking at video, Dizan's mentioned video. We could have spent a lot of time looking at how do we embed video questions into application forms and putting them into selection processes, but there's loads of partners out there, startups who are already doing that. So what we do is look at bringing that within our products, and that allows us to bring the innovation to the market really, really quickly. And we've had a fantastic year. So as well as a completely new consumer-led UI, which we're really excited about, we've bought absolutely tons of new functionality and modules into the product, and we've got a really, really exciting roadmap, which sometimes we struggle to keep up with for the year beyond. I know we're here to talk about technology. For me, it's always the beyond technology piece for me that matters in terms of partnership. So for Lumess, experience matters. So as I mentioned, I've worked in recruitment for over 20 years in various different guises. I've been a customer, I've worked in recruitment agencies and headhunters, and you'll find within Lumess that we have a lot of ex-customers, which for me is a real testament to how much our customers like working with us, that we're able to get them to come across and jump ship. And what we always aim to do is work in really true partnership with our customers. I really want to get, when I'm working with a customer, I really need to know, I need to understand what's their strategy, what are their challenges, what are they looking to achieve, and then we can really shape together how we support them and not just assume it's completely out of the box. And for me, a great partnership has to be a two-way thing, and we're really lucky at Lumess that we've got some fantastic customers like Dizan who really understand the value of that and don't just treat us like suppliers, but you know, it really has to be a two-way process. And in return, we like to then give our customers access to our senior management team and really help us shape. So Dizan spent 3 days with us at our annual kickoff in Krakow recently, and you know, is there and able to come and see, you know, unfiltered access to what we've got coming, what we're working on as a business, and really helping us shape that. And, you know, brilliant for us to be able to listen to Dazan telling us, you know, what are we doing well, but for me, more importantly, you know, where can we improve, both in terms of our product and our service. And that's, you know, that's really fundamentally how we try and work together. And I think, you know, my challenge to all of you is, you know, think about how do you deal with your suppliers? You know, are you open to meeting them and having conversations about what you're up to, or are they just the annoying people who occasionally call you? Because it, you know, makes our life so much easier when there's that true two-way partnership. But that's really all I've got to say. I mean, obviously, if you want to see the technology, go and see the guys on the stand, and I'm sure they'd be really happy to demo it to you. So I don't know if anyone has any questions, hopefully for Dazan, not me.
Thank you very much, guys.